Guys, and welcome back to another class of our course about the complete introduction to VBA with Excel. So in the past few classes we learned pretty cool things. So basically, as you can see here, we have created a macro that enables us the capacity of generating this table right there. So once again, it's pretty cool, and right now it only requires us one click to be able to generate all this table. Well, 3 clicks, but we can do it even in 1 click to be able to generate all this table. What I want to do today is pretty simple. So basically, we're going to work on the exact same project. So on this project right here, we are going to recreate it, but we are going to add a really interesting feature. So pretty simple. Let's say we are here, and basically what we want to do, we want to work with our macro. So pretty simple. As always, we're gonna go here, we're gonna run our step number 1. As you can see, we will have our numbers and names right here. If we run our step number 2, same thing. And if we run our step number 3, it's gonna come there. But there is one problem. We can run all our macros, but they all run simply here. Let's say, for example, we want to run our table right there, or right there, or right there. Well, it's not really possible because we have used absolute references in the case of this table right there. So what I want to do in this class is teach you how to run your macros whatever you want. So basically, you can run them whatever you want on this table. And you'll see it's pretty simple, and what we can do with this is pretty cool. So basically what we are going to use this little button that is just here, which is using relative references. So you'll see it's pretty cool. So what I just said is that you will be able to run all your macros anywhere you want on this table. So let's start. Basically what we are going to do today is the exact same project. So we'll start with the first step, which would be writing down numbers and names. So pretty simple. This is exactly what we are going to do. So first of all, we click on use relative references to be able to use relative references, and then we are going to record our macro. So in this case, we are at the project number 2, and we are at the step number 1. One last thing, if you want to put a space right here, it's not going to work because it doesn't allow to do so. So as you can see, it doesn't work. So just put everything together. And then you just click on OK. All right, so right now we are recording our macro. So first thing, we just put everything here together. We merge the cells. We write down numbers and names. And that's it. Then we can just stop the recording of our macros. Right now, we have our macro right here. So basically, if we want to run it somewhere, so let's run it right here. As you can see, it runs perfectly. So if we rerun it right there, once again, it's perfect and works perfectly, which is pretty cool. Now we have one small problem. It's we didn't put it inside of a table. So we can just redo it once again. Pretty simple. We'll just delete this one right here. So here we go there, we delete it, and we'll do it again. So pretty simple. We'll just use the relative reference. We record our macro. We'll call it, as I said, P2 step 1, and we click on OK, and then we can recreate our macro. So basically we'll just select our cells, we'll merge them together, we'll write down numbers and names, and that's it. Then we can just stop our recording. So right now we have everything that we need. We can test our macro to see if it works fine. So as you can see, it works perfectly fine. So everything works perfectly fine. One last thing, if you have an issue and let's say, for example, you are running your macro and instead of running at the right place, it runs somewhere right here or somewhere right here. This means when you were recording your macro, you were clicking either on the enter button, either you were playing around. So basically this could be a bug with what you have did. So pretty simple. The second step, as I said, will be creating this table right here. So instead of age here, we'll write down number. So here we'll have number 1 and here we'll have number 2. So pretty simple. All right, so let's just rerun our macro. So we'll go in the developer tab and we will rerun our macro. All right, so everything is at its place. So as I said, second step is recording our macro. So we click on record. It's gonna be project number 2, step number 2. So pretty simple. All right, so right now we are going to record our macro. So here we'll have name. We'll have, so first thing that we recording will be our name. Then we are going to record number 1. So we'll write down number 1 here. And here we'll have number 2. So right now we have everything that we need. Now next thing will simply be putting everything together right here. So here we go, this way. And then here we are going to add the sum. Here the calculation, so basically here we'll have this, we'll write down the calculation, so this will be equal to the sum of all this, so all those numbers. And same thing right here, sum of all those numbers right there. And finally, the last step, just adding some little things. All right, great. So right now we have everything that we need. We can stop the recording. So right now what we are going to do, we are just going to generate everything. So pretty simple. We are going to go here and trying to generate the second step. So as you can see, the whole table have been generated. So we can do the same thing right there. Once again, we run it. As you can see, everything is perfectly generated. And if we want to regenerate the step 1, we can just generate it right here. So as you can see here, we have our step 1 and our step 2 that are working perfectly. All right, so last thing that we want to do, pretty simple. We want to create our step number 3 that we are going to be able to generate also. So just merge everything, delete it. So here is our step number 3. All right, so pretty simple. Right now, what I'm going to do, instead of just creating the step number 3, I'm going to recreate the whole project. So pretty simple. Right now, what I'm going to do, as I said, creating the whole project and stocking it as one macro. So this way you will be able to see that it's possible to put everything inside of one macro. So if you want, you can do the exact same thing with me. So pretty simple. Let's start. So we'll go right here. So as always, it's going to be in our developer tab. What we are going to do right now, we are going to record our macro. So pretty simple. Project number 2, we'll call it full. And here we are going to create our macro. Whoop, I forgot one little thing. So as you can see here, I forgot to click on our use relative references. So we'll start again. We record our macro. So project 2 full. Great. Right now what we are going to do, we are going to record our project. So first step, pretty simple. As always, we select our cells, we merge them, and we write down numbers and names. So once we have this, we come back here, we select our first case that will be name. Then we'll have number 1. Then we'll have number 2. Then we'll select all this. Then here we'll have the sum. Here we'll have the sum of everything. So this will be equal to the formula of the sum. So once again, the sum of all this. Here, pretty much the same thing. So the sum of all this. Finally, we're going to go to the second place right here. Here we'll have the name. So once again, name. the number, and right there we're going to select all those cases. Finally, the sum. So right here we'll have the sum, and here the sum of all our numbers. So we'll have the sum of all our numbers right there. Great. So right now we have our macro as a whole, so we can stop recording and we can try to run our macro somewhere. So we'll just delete this macro. Well, delete everything that we have written right here, and we'll try to run our macro somewhere right there. Let's say, for example, run it here. So pretty simple. We come back here, we use our relative, well, we go on our macros, and we can run our macro right here. And then, as you can see, everything runs perfectly. So next step is pretty simple. It's just adding our numbers to test everything. So we can copy the numbers that we have right here and just add them. Oh, so we forgot to add one thing to our macro, which is to copy everything from here. So pretty simple, we can just add it manually, but basically what you guys can do is simply, well, copy and paste it. Same thing for the numbers. So we forgot to add the operation, which is pretty simple. So here we'll do the same thing. So it will be equal to this number plus this number. So here we go. All right, so right now I did it manually, but once again, you can do it with a macro. So last thing, what's also possible to do, it's also possible to, for example, create a graph for our macro. So let's say, for example, I want to create a graph. It's pretty simple. I can just select the whole thing right here and just generate a graph with it, whatever I want. So it works pretty much the same way if I want to generate a graph. So I'm going to go in developer. So use relative reference, record macros. So I'll call it graph and OK. So pretty simple. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on insert, select my numbers. Well, select everything that I need to select and just click on the recommended chart. Here I have my chart. So here we go. I have my chart that have been created. So pretty simple. Come back to my developer, stop recording, and normally everything should work fine. So if I run my graph macro, right, so right now we have a problem in the code. So here we go, we have our chart right here that have been generated. So as you can see, it works pretty fine. All right, so pretty simple. So right now what you guys have learned is pretty simple. You guys right now know how to basically run your macros anywhere you want on your Excel chart, well, on your Excel workbook. So let's say, for example, I want to run this macro right here, right there. So it's possible. I can just go on my developer tab, choose the macro that I want to run. So in this case, project 2 full, I can run it right here and it has run there. I can do the exact same thing right here. So I select my macro, project 2 full, and it works perfectly. So right now I just need to add the numbers, and basically one problem that we forgot to do is simply adding the calculations right there. But besides of that, it's not that much of a big deal. So right now what you guys have learned, you have learned how to use the relative reference with your macros. So you'll see right now it's pretty cool. So we are still in the creation, well, in the macro creation part of this course. So that's it for us class, guys, and see you all in our next class.